going on, everyone? It's Courtney Rollins with Aqua Team Properties. Appreciate y'all giving us your time. I'm excited to be chatting with this young man right here. This is a brother I've known for a good while. We had the pleasure of being a part of not only the same most amazing, best fraternity in the world, Mega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, but also privileged and blessed to be a part of the same chapter, the mighty Psi D chapter. It's a long-lived Psi D. Brother probably don't need an introduction. You've probably seen him all over the place. Rwenshaun Miller, man, doing amazing stuff in the world of mental health awareness. Matter of fact, I'll just let you introduce yourself, man, if people don't know you.
Oh man, appreciate you. Well, I call him Wild Style, but Rwenshaun Miller, man, founder and executive director of Eustress Inc., which is a nonprofit to raise mental health awareness in Black and Brown communities. But then also the co-founder of the Eustress Company, which is a private practice where we provide clinical therapeutic services to individuals, couples, and groups. Got a passion for working in the field just based off of my own personal journey. And really filling a void, man. It's similar to what Wild Style is doing, is understanding that we need to, build up our community, but then you do it in different types of ways, and being able to do that within your own skill set. So I've been blessed to find my own skill set, but which is, providing therapy and being able to relate to our people, but then helping them get help. But then, also being able to build that. Wild Style is building the wealth from it comes from the owning homes and owning property, and I'm dealing it from making sure that you take care of your mental wealth. So it's just a beautiful thing to be able to connect with you, brother, and it's an honor.
Man, Rwenshaun's a very humble, real man. This guy is every time you turn around, you're getting some award on the community and national level. You're on the Breakfast Club, hanging out with folks, celebrities, man. So I feel like it definitely is a privilege, honor. Even with the work that I do, people may not know, but I'm a director of diversity, equity, and inclusion at an independent school out in Baltimore. And Rwenshaun has given his time to these young men. We hold a Young Men of Color and a Black Male Symposium every year. And on several occasions, he's come out, taking his time and connected with the students there and spread that awareness. And each time it's one of the highlights of the students and everyone who's a part of the experience, man. So we really appreciate that. So today we're chatting because, I had questions for Rwenshaun about his journey, his path, particularly as I'm growing as an entrepreneur and all the different things that it requires. And with you as a entrepreneur and growing out, you just added people to your crew, to your staff, and all that stuff. I just wanted to get your perspective on how that journey is for you, particularly from the lens of mental health and all. And then Rwenshaun was asking questions again about the stuff that I'm doing in real estate investing. So it's going to be like a conversation that you all hopefully get to be a part of, or get to be a part of if you're listening, and hopefully everyone gets to benefit from. So that juxtaposition, or that intersection of being an entrepreneur who is actually raising awareness about mental health, what are some particulars that you see as an entrepreneur? Why should an entrepreneur be thinking about mental health?
Woo, boy, that's a loaded question, bro. I would say one of the things about it is because of the fact that, especially as an entrepreneur, you have to be in your right mind when it comes down to making decisions, and you have to be have a high emotional intelligence to understand you can't make certain decisions based off of just your emotions. And you have to think things through and look for the long run, and especially when you have employees, because it's not just you depending on what decisions you make. You have people in their families, they're dependent on their paychecks, and so all of those particular things. So me being able to manage these particular aspects of it becomes important. So me taking care of myself mentally, because when I show up in my office, or during that in the pandemic, whether it's be just a meeting or whatever, you have to be present for your staff. You have to be present for your business partners. You have to understand how to communicate with your staff and your business partners. But then outside of that, understanding that there is a fine line between overworking during as an entrepreneur, because it's that grind. We always hear, you sleep when you die, or if you're not grinding, you're not doing nothing.
Exactly.
Man, like that stuff, it'll tear you down, and you're not really effective in what you actually do. So being conscious of what you actually have going on and taking care of your mental health, man, is definitely, something that is important. And I mean, becoming an entrepreneur, it's a haze. I ain't even go front. And it'll bring stuff out of you that you didn't know you had. So being able to be in tune with that, and understanding what your limits are is key.
Right, man. Yeah, I've heard a gentleman named Andy Speed. I don't think it's his quote, but he says it quite often. He's from a wholesaler nation, and he says that one of the beautiful things about this entrepreneur journey, or really fulfilling any goal, is the person that you have to become to fulfill that goal, not necessarily even fulfilling the goal. And I appreciate what you're saying about also, like, as you're growing out, you're not trying to do this on the, where it's a solopreneur. It's a team sport, and you have people that you're responsible for. And so, like,
Mhm.
I'm learning more and more. And I think I got this from a book called The Road Less Stupid, that like I work for my employees they're working with me, my cold callers or the folks that are doing acquisitions with and for me. So it's like being able to show up every day from them requires that you be as healthy as you can. Do you have any like tips or guidelines for how do you allow yourself to show up? I mean, I know people can so you can put your tags so that people can, like, if they want more clients. But yeah, any tips or anything like that for as an entrepreneur? How do you show up? Like,
Definitely. I would say one of the things is, although my staff is important to me, my business partner is important to me, I have to make sure I'm important to me.
mm,
And so making sure that I'm still a priority in all of this stuff, because when you start to get bogged down with trying to take care of everybody else, that's when you lose your way, that's when you're not able to serve them.
mm,
So making sure that I create a schedule, making sure that I block things off for just for me time, and being able to disconnect,
mm,
and that's on a daily basis. A lot of time we try to work and grind. We'll grind like 11 months out of the year so we can take 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks off.
right,
Like it don't work like that, man. You gotta have that respite, and I say respite because a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, I sleep." Nah, but are you really resting? Are you really able to recharge? Are you really having that downtime to be able to just kick it and chill and do some enjoy? Like life is meant to be enjoyed. It's not meant to be to work all the time. So understanding that aspect of it, and creating my own routine, and as an entrepreneur, but then also as a boss, you understand that you lead by example. So it's not even just me wanting the best out of the people that I work with, that I partner with. Because my workers, they're partners, because if they don't do nothing, we don't the ship don't go. You know what I'm saying? So also understanding, how do I serve you better,
mm,
and being open to critique, but then open to learning, how do I don't approach it to just as an employee. I approach it as you as a person. So what's
right,
going on in your life? How can I help you? Are you taking care of your own mental health? A lot of so I work with, and so I'm telling my therapist, like, yo, who are you going? Are you going to therapy? Do you need me to pay for your therapy? What stuff do you actually need? And and how are your children? All of these things. So you got to get invested in people, and that when you become invested in people, they work a lot more harder for you, but then also they trust you, and you build that actual bond that goes further than a paycheck, that goes further than whatever company you go, and they will. So I say all of that to say, I invest in my therapist. My therapists have been recruiting new therapists to work for me. So he was like, yo, I be like, yo, well, when I interviewed someone, it was like, I was like, well, how did you know about this? Oh, well, your therapist is such and such. They said that it's a great company to work for, and this. I was like,
yeah,
well, so like that stuff makes you feel
yeah,
good, because I try to take care of people, man.
right. So people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, man. And a couple of things I heard is time blocking, making sure that you actually put the time in for what you say you're working for. So many of us as entrepreneurs are working for that time freedom, but we're working all the time. So if you don't carve out those times where you're like, okay, this is the week that I'm going to take to do this, or this is the day I'm going to do this. Another thing that I think that does is it allows you to recognize if you're leveraging systems. Like I
Right.
should be able to step away from my job or from my position for a day or two, a couple, and I'm not actually there yet, just full disclosure, but I'm building up, systems and identifying, documenting processes and finding the right people so that if I want to go away for a week,
Mhm.
things work. If I want to go away for a month, eventually things will continue to work. And that's telling me that I'm creating something that's sustainable and not just creating another job out there where I'm just doing a W-2 and all. And as you said too, the last point, well, I guess connects to the first one is, uh, showing up as a person first, because that's modeling. It's your job, your company, your business is going to be a reflection of you. So being able to really have an honest conversation with who you are and doing the things you need to be the best you is so important. You know,
And,
um,
and I think even with that though is understanding and going back to even one of the earlier points is making that time for you on a daily basis. Like, before I start work with anybody, man, I'm making sure I take care of myself, meditating, coloring, working out, praying, journaling, all of this stuff before I even start work.
right. Yes, brother. Hey, don't get. Hey, that's we. We're in a group thread together with the brothers, and people start talking about that miracle morning savers, and
Mhm.
I've been doing that for the last 2 years. Hal Helrod is the gentleman who I was introduced to it through a podcast listening to him. But yeah, every morning I get up, I carve out time to have silence and meditation. I say my affirmations of proclaiming what I'm getting to want in life, visualize the day and sketching it out, exercise, reading, and writing something down every morning. So like I block out those 2 hours. If I don't have that, I'm like I know something's a little off, and so I'm as consistent as possible with that, man. I appreciate you saying that.
Even on the weekends too.
Yep, yeah, right, yeah.
I think that's where sometimes we get lost in that. Some people want to sleep in. I've never been a person that sleeps in.
Yeah,
Sleeping in for me is 6-7 o'clock.
yeah. Hey, but we was saying, yeah, yeah, that drive my fiance crazy, man. She,
but I mean, but I'm like that routine because it doesn't feel like work for me to get up. You know what I'm saying? I get up at 4 o'clock and I'm still giving to myself for those 2 or 3 hours, or even 4 hours at times. Where by the time people start getting up on Saturday and Sunday, they getting I'm ready to go. What's up? I got
yeah.
done.
Yeah. It may drive some people crazy, but I love the early morning. They feel like the world was created just for you. Ain't no other noise going on because when, like you
Yes.
said, when people start hitting that text or hitting that phone call, hitting those appointments, it's by that point you got to be able to show up. And so to have that taken care of is so key, man. Another thing I would love to get your thoughts on. Then love to hear what your thoughts are about what we're doing over here.
Yeah.
Because I heard someone talk about like also the entrepreneur journey. Sometimes what can get really dangerous is, especially particularly for men, and this may be across genders and all, but the it is hard work. There's no way around it. I mean, the hard work can be glorious and beautiful, but sometimes that hard work can put you into isolation. And when I start getting into isolation and isolated, that's when some of the I don't know, whatever words you want to call it, if you ascribe to religion or if you ascribe to whatever, like if you're just only in your own mind, your own counsel, that is can lead to some very negative habits and behaviors and all. Have you heard or seen or had anything to touch on to like to that point of either the danger of isolation or anything like that, or I don't make assumptions about what you think about isolation.
I think one of the things is with especially with entrepreneurship is understanding that you still can't do everything by yourself. So when you have those moments of isolation, some people use those moments to create, but then also they get stuck in their head and they get into this rut, and you keep going through these cycles of the same thoughts over and over again. But it's just like when you go into therapy, you go to therapy to just get that stuff out of your head, and then something starts to click for you. So finding those people that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can trust to bounce ideas off of, for one, that they don't judge you, for one, because they may think you're silly for thinking certain things, but then also they can help you navigate logistically what actually goes on. So for me, one of my things is my business partner, man.
Yeah.
She's my backbone when it comes down, especially to the private practice and stuff, like, because I'm able to bounce ideas off of her. I'm a visionary. I know that.
Right. So you got the big ideas in the sky. Need somebody to bring it to the ground. The integrator. You need that integrator. Yeah.
Right. So she puts the legs on the table. I can build the table, but she puts the legs on that mug. You know what I'm saying? Like all four of them. And like, but we learn each other's strengths. Right. And so when you have that, when you get into that isolation phase, and you think it's all on me, it's all on me, it's all on me, that's when you become overwhelmed and trying to produce, and you can't produce. Right. And then when you can't produce, you get frustrated. Then when you get frustrated, you just shut everything down and be like, all right, well, I don't even want to do this no more.
All right. Heck yeah, man. I appreciate that, man.
You gotta find your sense. You gotta find your community, man.
You know? Lord, I was just about to say, find your tribe, find your community. That's why the masterminds are so important. That's why, yeah, and that community that's gonna feed you positively, like you're saying, not necessarily a community that's gonna maybe reinforce some things that may not be, as healthy habits for you. Man, yeah, that's saying a mouthful right there, man.
But even outside of that, dog, it's not even just you don't even have to find somebody that works in your same field, or you're, or trying to aspire to do the same thing that you do. Sometimes it's just about being in a certain energy, man. And you sometimes when I first started off my practice, I was solo. I was by myself. We had a 1-room office or whatever. I would just go sit at the coffee shop, bro.
Yeah, the animal comfort. Yeah, the energy, yeah.
Yeah, the energy starts to flow, and you know what I'm saying, or you have a random conversation with a stranger, and stuff just start coming out, and or you'll go to a co-working space where you got a lot of different creatives. You got somebody doing art over here, you got somebody doing music, you got somebody that's working on an app over here, and so all of these different things, but then you're able to, those are the ways that you're able to partner with other people in different aspects. So not just partnering on your particular project, but you'll know somebody that knows like a patent lawyer, or you'll know somebody that knows how to get your trademarks and everything, or you'll be able to run into an accountant that can help you with your taxes, make sure all of this. That's where your real tribe comes in, because they know what the struggle is like being an entrepreneur.
That's strategic too. Like I love the thought about the energy, but also, as you're saying, if you're going out and putting yourself in other circles of folks, like if I'm just around a bunch of investors or wholesalers, I definitely can add value, but we're sort of the same, not necessarily, I say one trick pony, but we're the same. But like if I'm around somebody who's doing assisted living, or somebody just like sort of similar things, or tax preparer, whatever,
right,
there's a way that we can synergize and maybe be able to even add more value to each other based on like the skill set that we bring in and all. Let alone just another set of energy, man. Yeah, I can do that like a mug, man. So yeah, man. So I would love to know, like, we've had conversations about, you've been watching me and Shanita growing, struggling, building this wholesaling and this investment company. I would love to know what are your thoughts, or what are your questions about real estate investing, wholesaling,
So, I'm starting off at bare one, dog. I don't even own a home. So for full transparency to everybody that's watching, I don't even own a home. I've been an entrepreneur for since 2013.
Yeah.
It's just been a grind. And people be like, oh, you need to buy a house. At a certain point, when you're an entrepreneur, especially when you just start out, you don't have that cushion. Like you ain't looking to, ain't no buying no house. You trying to figure out how to pay rent. You know what I'm saying? So
I hear you.
You don't have W-2s to show. You don't have all of that stuff to show to the bank.
On it. Right, the bank. That's what they're gonna. Yeah, exactly.
You don't have that stuff, so you're pigeonholed into renting because you are able to buy a home as you try to start your own business or whatever. So I guess even with that, man, like I'm brand new to the real estate game, period. But I know I can lean on you when it comes down to learning stuff. And then as far as even with the learning the wholesale, I would say my first question for you would be, what made you want to get into the wholesaling aspect of real estate?
Right. Well, first, let me say there are a lot of investors who don't own a home either. Like I don't own a home in my name. The properties that we have are in our LLC, and so I'm actually living in one of them right now. And I've
Smart.
never owned a home before that. But even outside that, there's some investors that their strategy is not to own. Many of them do own own it in some way or control it in some way. But yeah, but as far as our journey into wholesaling, I was like 2 or 3 years ago, well, reconnected with my fiance a few years back, fiance now, and realized that the work I'm doing as a director of diversity, equity, inclusion, like I was looking down the road and it just wasn't going to build the life that I wanted to build, the time that I wanted to build. I could put, and I love the work that I do, but I could put 30 years into this bad boy and still not have anything to leave my family or be, I have to be tied to that W-2 to be able to really like sustain. And so like so many other folks who joined real estate, um I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Me and a couple of my boys from Carolina too were like, hey, let's spend some of our time instead of just texting each other, talking junk or whatever, and all. Let's spend time doing a book club. Matter of fact, I even think I saw you might have put a book club in one of the bros thread, and that made me think about doing it with a small group of friends. And we ran across Rich Dad Poor Dad. My fiance had thought about real estate before. I gotta say that because she always like, I'm the one who told you to start. So she did told me. She said, you did. but
You
but
gotta give your props, man. You
hey,
have to.
hey, she amazing, man. Hey, I couldn't do any of the stuff without her. That's the honest truth. Talking about your mastermind, that's one right there. But real estate just kept coming up as I'm reading all these different texts and books on how do you actually go from nothing to like building and all. And so I learned just enough, and once I saw it, it was clicked. I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Real estate investing, bigger pockets. I was looking at all these different podcasts and spaces, but it was like drinking from a fire hose. And I learned just enough to get in trouble where we and this is when I knew my fiance was really into it. She put like $1,300 down, which to me was a lot of money, still, a significant amount. $1,300 down on this course on wholesaling. Learned just enough from it from Vina Jones Cox, yeah, wholesaling. To like I was like the dog who caught the car. We were able to pick up 2 properties, but instead of wholesaling them, we ended up buying them. We same brothers invested in gave a small loan, well not small but significant to us still at the time, and we're able to pick up the properties and rehab them, and still didn't know what the heck I was doing because it ended up like the second rehab. Oh, it was the terrible, like the water system needed to be replaced, all this different stuff need to happen to it, and we didn't have necessarily the funds. And I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? I got these bros money. I owe the lender that I got the other rest of the rehab loan for. How am I going to make this happen? And I kept remembering wholesale, and I was like, I can't do nothing but make it happen. So I jumped in and listened to Max Maxwell again. So much free information out there. He was just a positive brother who I could really relate to, and he was doing wholesale, and he started out from zero to making 100,000 in 1 year, and now he's making $1 million a year. Probably gonna start making $1 million a month. But and so once I got on his path led me. I was still just grinding it out. Fine, said I'm focused on wholesaling. It seemed like the more I focused, the better I got. And I finally paid for a coaching program with Brent Daniels, Talk to People TTP program, Wholesaling Inc. Amazing folks. And they were like, okay, you drink from water hose. Actually, what you need to do is turn that water hose down, and here are the ingredients, and here's the recipe. So I had all the ingredients all out there and all stuff, but now I have the recipe for step by step how to make it happen. So I was able to put systems in place, and was able to finally pick up some big momentum, and now we're cranking out 3 to 4 deals a month. I still wanted the margins to be wider because we're averaging right now like 66,000, 600 per deal. But some of them are sometimes 2,000, some of them are 17,000. It really all depends. But there's a lot of things we want to be able to improve. But long story short, being able to narrow down my focus and find 1 or 2 voices to listen to and get coaching introduced me to wholesaling. And I saw it as a way, we do it as a way to be able to take that money and reinvest it into assets. So we have our different plans to buy, assisted living assets and some other assets that will allow us to eventually live off our passive investments. But I love this wholesaling so much. This is something I'm going to be doing whatever. I just love the thrill. I'm a, you know, I have ADHD and I love the dopamine rush when I solve a problem or get that contract in or get to sell that contract. So I love doing it. I love working, man. So yeah,
Yeah.
long story short, that's how I got to it, man.
So I guess my next question for you would be, even from you know, anybody that's listening to you, I know they want to learn more about the real estate game and, you know, the wholesaling and everything, and you're teaching them. What would you say is one of the unique stressors that you face day to day with your job, your wholesaling job?
Really for me, it's just having, I mean, you always got to, like stuff that we talked about earlier, making sure you're in the right mindset to be able to really listen
Mm-hmm.
to the seller and the buyer. It all boils down to having quality conversations with people in general, but particularly distressed property owners. And having a quality conversation means I need to be able to show up, be aware, don't make any assumptions about what that brother, sister, or person is going to say on the end, so I can really listen. I'm really interviewing for pain. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to find the pain and I'm trying to pull it out so that I can see if I have a solution to your problem. But if
Mm-hmm.
I'm making assumptions about what their pain is, or assumptions about, you know, a lot of people are like, why would somebody sell a property that's worth $300,000 for $100,000? Like, you know, I mean, why are there pawn shops out there? Why are there all this? But, you know, well, I got to be able to listen and be a trusted authority to help see if I have a solution to their problem. So being able to not make assumptions and listen requires that I, you know, am in a good mental space. So that'd be
Yeah.
one of the bigger challenges. But it's a it's a simple. It's not easy, but it's such a simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a simple business, man. I mean, anybody could do it if they put the consistent time and effort towards it.
So I guess even with that, you know, how do you find, especially with you working, you have a full time job with it, you know, at the school, but then also doing this for entrepreneurship, and then you're doing it with your fiance. So I mean, you when you're entangling, you know, relationships with business, you know, how is that? How are you able to manage that relationship?
Horribly. No, okay, okay. Now, matter of fact, I'm going to be interviewing her soon because I would love to get her perspective on it. It really, like Brent said, like I said, okay, these are the time I'm dedicating to this. This is what I need you all to allow me to do and all. And it really wasn't until she was on board, like last January, she just clicked and got on board and said, yo, I'm gonna take over social media, I'm gonna do this. And that's that mastermind, that's the universe, that's God, that's whatever it is. When you have two minds that are moving towards the same direction, it works. So having her on board and deciding, okay, either go you in and we in it together, or you're gonna be out and you're gonna allow me to do the own thing. That allowed us to then establish roles
Okay.
where it's like, okay, you have this clear role. You're in disposition. You're in social media marketing. Disposition is like selling the properties, social media marketing, and I'm acquisitions, lead management, and all. And sometimes they still blur, and I think that's one of our challenges. But uh, it could be a challenge. But also, I got a time block time where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna spend time with my family because you know this is why I'm doing this and all. And I'm still struggling and getting and trying to get better at that. But because you know, I'm doing it for my family, I'm doing it for my family. Like, are you really doing it for your family, or are you doing it to get away from your family? You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
So
right, right,
yeah,
right, right. No. So and I guess that leads to my next question. You know, you mentioned that, you know, having that dopamine fix, and you get that rush when you're chasing a property, or you're figuring out an answer and all of that, or you make this sale or whatever. Do you have this is enough for me right now, and then for me to chill out? Do you have that goal in mind, or that threshold?
oh, absolutely. We want to be a small company. We want to have $500,000 a year. You know, $50,000 a month, which in the wholesaling business is very doable and very still. You can do that from with a very lean crew, and you're not because the thing about it. Some people are taking home $1 million a year, $3 million a year, but they're taking home only like 50,000. You know, but and they got 20 people that they're responsible for. You know, so yeah, we definitely have our um our goals and I don't want to grow this too huge. I'm looking at an 8-person operation,
Okay.
but I also don't want to put a limit on what you know my God has for me. Maybe it is set for me to have that large company and be able to provide so much value to all the other employees and people out there. And also, I got my path, my goal, my why is that time freedom, and my purpose. I feel like is to be an example of how beautiful, authentic, and powerful we are, and we can be when we're authentic selves. And time, money, and resources makes it easier for me to do that. I can do that without those, but it makes it way easier for me to be in community and meet amazing people and do amazing things and hopefully be my best self I can be.
Right.
So
Right.
that's my goal. And so the path may look different. It may be a small company here, maybe a large company there. So as long as I'm going towards my goal or feeling like I'm living my goal every day, or trying to live it, is that's the thing, man.
I would say, I guess my last question would be like, even like you said, we said creating that balance between working and then family time, because you really ultimately is doing it is for your family, right?
Right.
And I guess just to go on those lines of, you got a hot deal that, you've been working 3 or 4 days on, and you feel like you got to put that extra hour in there. But then, your daughter come in and be like, no, I want you to, let's go get some ice cream.
But you just did my house today, man. What the heck? Yo, that, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, yeah. So like, I got to breathe in and breathe out and recognize, okay, what and why are you doing it for? But also time blocking. Like I do have to have some times like, this is what, if this is what this space is, I need to have this time right here. But it also, so they have to honor that. I have to honor and recognize why I'm doing it and make sure that I don't, move past that, but also continue to do my job to work, work on the business. I always work in the business, but to create the systems so that that I'm not just inventing a new job, that I'm, being a businessman as opposed to just a self-employed man.
Right.
Yeah.
I think to me, that's what allowed me. I asked you that because with those time blocks, and then when you write out your to-do list, then you start to write, instead of writing just a to-do list, you'll start to arrange it in priority. And then once you're able to arrange it in priority, then you'll start to see, okay, how much time will it take for me to knock out my highest priorities,
Right.
and then what else can I delegate or automate?
Right, absolutely, bro. Yeah, we got to have another podcast on that. Yeah, and somebody, Trevor Mark, he said this based on somebody else telling the story, but he had this guy who came in and had like a jar. He's talking about, this is your life, this big old jar, and you got like your big rocks of things you want to do. Then you got all these little rocks that are important, but not as important as your big rock. Then you got this sand, and what happens? A lot of people would mistake like the immediate for the super important, and like they'll put the sand and do all let me get this email here, let me do whatever it is there, and they fill up their jar in their life. And then they try to fill those big buckets of let me have an amazing experience where I go traveling, or let me they be fulfilled with love with this person, and the rocks can't fit in. But they're like, if you, like you're saying, you time block and recognize your most important next step. Like Gary Keller, I just quote other people's stuff. I ain't got no original thought. But Gary Keller, but what is the one most important thing that by doing it makes all other things easier or unnecessary? And so if I'm doing that most important thing and I put that big rock in there in my life, and I put the other big rock in my life, and then I can take those little rocks, they're gonna find the time to get in there. And then I take the sand's gonna find time. And maybe some of the sand don't fit in there, but it's the sand. It's the stuff that you really didn't use anyway. So
Right.
yeah. So I appreciate that, brother, man. And I do gotta explain to folks just in case they don't know what wholesaling is. Wholesaling is really just outsourcing and finding wholesaling properties is outsourcing and finding a property, getting it for a discounted price, and then you either assign the contract, or you can do whatever you want with it. You could take it down yourself, rehab it, resell it. You could sell the note to somebody else, or make connects to another investor. Me and Shanita, we always say we just solve dilemmas and cultivate opportunities. So it's a beautiful skill to have, and wholesaling has been around since forever. You go to some factory is going to wholesale their shoes or their food to a store, and they're going to resell it. That's where the word resale comes from. So just in case people out there don't know. But
So
man,
even my last question for that, how do you go about finding your properties when it comes out to what you're looking for to wholesale?
Exactly. Yeah. So great. So there are so many ways to find your properties. You can either pay for it by, getting lists and basically looking for distressed property owners. 99, 95, whatever percent of the people out there aren't going to be the ones that we can serve, because they're either happy in their home or they're going to want a retail price, which, put it on the market, which is cool. We offer that too. Like, hey, that's what we suggest you do that, if that's what's best for you. But the 5% are the ones who really need help because they're either divorced, or they need to move quickly, or they have a medical condition, or the property's too torn down, or they hate realtors, or they have a tax lien on it, or they there's a ton of different things that that's why it's all solving problems. It's not really even about the real estate. That's why I have to be able to listen. So to be able to find those folks, you can pay for it by buying lists and ordering from different services. You can get it from referrals, just like people referring to your client, people referring people to you and want to work for you and be of a service with you. And that's, just through reputation and connections and doing what you say you're going to do. Or you can be proactive and go out there and, drive for dollars, look in the neighborhoods that you want to find and find the properties with any type of stress. I'm talking about stuffed mailboxes, talking about a car that's broke down in there, overgrown grass, rust on the side, and write down their addresses, skip trace their and get their number and give them a call, mail them, knock on their door, whatever system you want in place. But so you're either paying for it, you're getting it from referrals, or you're being proactive and going after it. I go after it. I make phone calls. Is the main thing. And I learned that direct from Brent Daniels, TTP. Obviously I like to talk, so I need to be able to be quiet, so just listen more. That's the skill I will continue to work on every day. So that's the fun part. It's like basketball, football, whatever. I work on role playing, talking, and building.
Right.
So when I show up, it's easier. But yeah, so those are the main ways that you go about it, man. But yeah, I'd love to talk to you a little more offline. Maybe it's something that I know that you big Willie and all that stuff, but man, you could be able to serve folks. I know there's a connection between
Man,
counseling and the work you do.
The thing is about it, though, like even that we say it's about still building that community and we growing together.
Absolutely.
So whatever skill set I may have, may be able to transfer to you, and you transfer to me, and then we can all eat out here. It ain't about So that's why I love to connect with you. I always love to build with you. Always just appreciate your knowledge that you're able to share, but then also you allow me to share my knowledge with you.
Absolutely, brother. Abundance mentality. Somewhere I heard something about uplift. I don't know where it is, but somewhere.
Somewhere they came up with something back in 1911.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you though, where can people find you if they want to chat with you, want to connect with you? If the two people who watch this, no, but where can they find you?
Oh man, you can find me on any. If you can spell my name, you can find me. Period. So it's RWENSHAUN. I'm on all social media. My website is Rwenshaun.com as well. So be on the lookout for just different events that we have coming up. Probably it got in May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we're doing the Mental Health Awareness Gala. We're gonna do that virtually and in person. So we will have a hybrid gala, but then also doing the Mental Health Awareness Walk as well. And man, just really looking forward to continuing to serve the people, but then also building other aspects that can allow me, like you said, when you have these resources, you're able to do a lot more with your gifts. And so money is a resource, real estate is a resource, but then also that allows you to get more time, and because time is finite and we need to make the best of it as we possibly can.
I appreciate it. I thank you. You gave me more time than we went over a little bit here. So, dog, I really appreciate the team. And yeah, I'm like I told everyone, I'm with Aqua Team. And if you need any thoughts, questions, or thing that we can support or answer, our humble opinion on our journey, we're open books. So you can reach out to us, Courtney and Rollins, or at Instagram, Aqua Team _properties on Instagram, and Courtney Rollins on Facebook and all the social media sites. Connect with us, give us a call, and we definitely share what we can, and maybe learn from you if you not, probably definitely can learn from you. So yeah, the journey is a beautiful thing, and I feel like there's some else is going to say, oh, please like and subscribe if you're looking at this on YouTube. It really helps me get more of this out there. The algorithm that YouTube and Google wants, they want likes and subscriptions and all that stuff. So it will help me spread the word. Rwenshaun, Appreciate you, dog. I'm gonna pause this bad boy here and keep chatting with you later on. But any parting thoughts, any parting words?
Hey man, y'all take care of yourself. Make sure you make yourself a priority, because that's the only way you'll be able to serve other people.
Nice. Heck yeah. Rising tides, fellas.